get on Thacker and Moana. Before I rewatched Moana in preparation for Moana 2, I went into rewatching Moana thinking, I really liked this movie. I thought it was really good, but I didn't think that I loved it. But it had been since probably around 2018 since I had last saw it. So when I rewatched Moana, it really connected with me more. Moana is a great film, there's no mistaking that. But to be honest, I was not expecting much from Moana 2. Moana 2 was announced back in February, for a release date of November. That's not a very common thing with movies, especially not animated movies. And we also knew that this was going to be a series for Disney+. This is back when Disney was making like $200 million series just for Disney+. But then Disney realized they weren't actually making money off of these big budget productions for Disney+. So they decided to turn Moana 2 into a movie and have it head to theaters so that way they could get some of that Moana money. I didn't have high hopes for this movie. Squishing down what was supposed to be a season of a series into 1 hour and 40 minutes, I knew this was not going to turn out well. So now we've seen Moana 2, it's exactly what I thought it would be. Just okay. And that's because it's an entire season of a series squished down into 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's obvious they didn't want to throw away all the work they already did on the series, so they Frankenstein a few episodes together. And overall, I think the plot is presented pretty thinly. This is not a god-awful continuation of Moana, but it's not good. I can see this story going in this direction, but I'm not sure if it should have went in this direction. You can tell the story here was supposed to be fleshed out a lot more. That's very clear when it comes to the characters. We got some new characters, and they're pretty forgettable. They are all one-note characters. The Maui fanboy, the smart one, the grumpy old man. And they develop as characters through pretty much one musical number. But if this was a series, we would have actually had time to see these characters develop. And develop naturally at that. And even Moana herself doesn't get a whole lot of character development. Her character honestly kinda goes through the same development she went through the first movie, just worse. I did still like her character, I don't think she got any worse, but she didn't get any better. I will say that I did still like Maui, my favorite character in the first one and in the sequel, but Moana and Maui only meet up halfway through the movie, so we don't get a lot of development between those two characters, which I was actually really looking forward to. And Moana has a little sister in this movie, which I think is actually a really good concept that could have been really compelling and emotional, and I think there are sprinkles of that, but they really don't do enough with the character and her relationship with Moana. And this movie has two villains, kind of. One is this bat lady, who I think legitimately has like 5 minutes of screen time. She has one of the only songs from the movie I remember. It's not good, but I remember it existed. But the character herself is actually kind of unique. I would have liked to see more of her, but pretty much nothing is done with the character. But there is also the second villain, which we don't actually see during the movie. You'll have to wait until the Marvel-style post-credit scene that sets up Moana 3 to see him. And so far, this villain seems pretty generic. And yes, Moana 3 is happening. Even if they didn't set it up in this one, which they do, look at that box office. We're getting Moana 3. This is Disney's highest opening ever. And as I mentioned, the songs this time around are pretty forgettable. I remember 2 of them, although I couldn't tell you what they're actually called. Needless to say, they're not even on the same plane of existence as the songs in the original Moana. One thing I do want to point out about this film is that it has really poor editing. Like, sometimes the way it goes from shot to shot feels so abrupt and sudden. It's not very smooth. I don't think in any of my reviews, I've never even mentioned how the film's edited together, but yeah, this film has kind of bad editing. But I will admit, the last 30-20ish minutes of the movie were actually pretty darn good. Honestly enjoyable. I actually got invested in this story and these characters. Dare I say it, by the end it even got me emotional. You can tell Disney went, okay, so what we have so far sucks. So we gotta make the ending at least enjoyable, so the people will come back for Moana 3. There's actually some really interesting things done with the story and the characters. Especially with Moana. They did something with her character that I was not expecting, and I really liked. It was really those last 20 to 30 minutes that really saved this movie from just honestly being bad. And it's given me the slightest interest in Moana 3. But overall, Moana 2 was okay. I do not recommend it. And now we can look forward to Moana 3 and the live action Moana. I do not have high hopes. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, thanks for liking and subscribing, and join the subreddit at the Discord server. Bye guys for now! Bye bye, Scarlet Thacker.